All right, we're going to finish up this 1-7. And whether we talked about this yesterday or not, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't even think I recorded yesterday. So, but that's okay. We call this thing, oh, I got to change this so I can write. All right, here we go. So it's a cylinder, but it's kind of slanted. We don't call it a slanted cylinder. We call it an oblique cylinder. You could call it oblique circular cylinder, but I'd be okay if you just said oblique cylinder. Everybody got that? That word oblique. Yeah, I mean, these might be kind of hard to draw. Just do the best you can in your notes. All right, there's probably a list of these in the book if you want to go through the book, or you could just go through the YouTube video and just kind of scan through it and see when I write stuff down. You can review it that way. But if you want to try to draw it, just do a little slanted thing, put a little oval on top, a little oval on the bottom. That shouldn't be too hard to draw. Again, I'm not a very good artist. I can't draw very well at all. I'm just terrible. But I could probably draw something similar to that. All right, enough of that. So that was yesterday. Just for the fun of it, now we already talked about this. That was a sphere. This is a cone. And this is a right circular cylinder. This is a right circular cone. All right, there we go. All right. What? It was an oblique cylinder. OBLIQUE. All right. Here we go. Now this is not circular like a lot of those other things, like the cone, the cylinder, the sphere. They were all circular. Now we're talking straight edges here. All right. If you look at it, what's the bottom of it? What kind of shape is the bottom of it? Yeah, it could be a square, could be a rectangle. We're not sure exactly. They don't tell us if all the sides are equal to each other or anything like that. But we always look at the base so we know specifically what to call it. But if you look at this, they're all straight edges, and they come up to a point right here. Everybody listen? So this comes up to a point. So this is called, we're going to write it. Let's write it right here. This is called a pyramid. All right? So that is called a pyramid. But if you look at it, the very top of the pyramid, let's do this. Let's use another color. So watch. This goes straight down to the center right here. So what kind of an angle do you think this makes? This red line right here. What kind of angle do you think that makes with the bottom of it, with the base of it? A right angle, okay? So in this particular case, we would call this, and we want to be specific because if you look at the instructions, I don't know, who's got that worksheet out in front of them? What do the instructions say at the top? It just says name each figure. Okay. In the book and in the quiz and the test, it's going to say something about name them specifically. I forget exactly how I word it on the test, but it says something about name it. I don't know. Let me look. Let's see. I probably have a copy here. Let me see. Don't talk while I'm doing this. Just sit and wait. Okay, this is not free reign just to do and say whatever you want. So just sit and listen. Okay, I do say specific. So here's how I write it. If you want to put it in your notes, it's up to you. It says classify each object. There's still people talking. Everybody needs to be looking up here and listening. So it says classify each object with the most specific designation possible. The most specific designation, which means don't just say it's a pyramid because it's more specific than that. Okay? Since this goes up and down, it makes a right angle. We're going to call it a what? A right. And now we're going to take a look at the bottom or the base of it. Now, you could say square, but we don't know exactly that it's a square, but it's probably a rectangle. All right, so we're going to say a right, if I have enough room in here, rectangular, squeeze it in there. There we go. It's a right rectangular pyramid. All right, so there could be times like this next picture right here. Do I call this one This one right here, do I call that a right rectangular prism? Well, it is a prism. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the next thing we're going to do. It is a pyramid, isn't it? Okay, how do we know it's a pyramid? When it comes to a what? When a point up at the top. So all these sides, see all the sides of this? It all comes up to a point. So we do call it a pyramid. But is that the most specific that you can be about this? No, it's not. It's not the most specific, but it is a pyramid. All right? So it is a pyramid, but, and it is right, because this thing is right above the middle of it. Okay? So we could say that it's right. But what's the base of it? Is the base a rectangle? What is it? A hexagon? Let's count how many sides we got on the bottom, the base of this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that little bit right there is a side as well. So it is 6. It's not a stop sign. A stop sign is not a hexagon. What's a stop sign? What's a stop sign? It's an octagon. That's right. All right, so this is a what? This is a hexagon. So we don't just say hexagon. What do we do for rectangle? We said rectangular, what? Lur. So what are we going to say here? Hexagon, and then we'll put the AL at the end. Some people might say hexagonal, but most of the time we would say hexagonal, all right? So we would call it a right hexagonal pyramid. It sounds fancy, it sounds confusing, but it's really not that hard, because if you look at what the bottom is, it's 6 sides. We've already talked about that, right? We've done those shapes with triangle and quadrilateral and all that. Is that yes? I think we have, haven't we? Did we do 1/6? I think we did 1/6. Yeah, that should have been in 1/6 where we did triangle, all the shapes. Triangle, we did quadrilateral. Listen to me. Where we did triangle, quadrilateral, we did pentagon, hexagon, heptagon, octagon. Do you remember those? Did we do that or not? I'm not getting a response from anybody. Somebody tell me yes or no. Did we do that? Is it in your notes? Okay, is it in your notes? Okay. All right. That's what I wanted to know, because we might have to go back and do that. We're not going to do that today, but we'll probably do that next. Let me see. Yeah, I think I realized that when I did the lesson plans, because tomorrow we are going back to 1/6. So this is 1/7. I don't know, something happened where I think it was those worksheets messed me up. All right, and we didn't actually cover 1/6. So we're going to have to go back to 1/6 after we do this. But that's okay. 6 side is a hexagon. We're going to learn that tomorrow. All right, but now you know it. All right, so 6 sides is a hexagon. So we call it a right hexagonal pyramid. That's what we would call that thing. So if you saw that on a quiz or a test, you must have all 3 of those: right, hexagonal, and pyramid. Okay, if you see a picture like that on a quiz or a test. Okay, and that's all you have to do. You just have to write it down, because this point is directly above the middle of it. It's not slanted. All right, and I don't think on any of the quiz questions or test questions I give you a pyramid that's slanted. Okay, so for all we're concerned about is everyone is a right. Okay, so like if I did this, if I, let's do this in a different color. If I took a line from the very top and I drew it straight down, see where it would hit? It would hit right in the middle. But you are right, it's a good question. How do I know that it's right? How do I know that it's a right pyramid? You're absolutely right. You wouldn't know for a fact, because that could have been off just a degree or so and you couldn't even tell. But if they do put a line here with a little right angle box, that means it's a right hexagonal pyramid. So it's a good question.
So in like the actual thing, it'll have like angle box?
Yeah. If I want you to say right, yeah, it'll have a box so that you know for a fact that it is a right, whatever it is. No, there's no left. Right just means it makes a 90-degree angle. Okay? So right, it just means like this. If you had a line here and you had a line completely straight up and down to this line right here, that would be a right angle. If you go like that, okay, that would not be a right angle, right? So straight up and down, okay? Even like this is straight up and down compared to this line. You see that? Makes a 90-degree angle, a right angle. I mean, right angles all over the place. I mean, look at the ceiling, look at the wall, okay? Look at that ceiling, look at this wall. It makes a 90-degree angle. See how it's completely flat up here? And this is not slanted. The wall doesn't slant in, the wall doesn't slant out. It's completely straight up and down. So that would be a right angle. The floor and the wall, that makes a right angle. It's 90 degrees. Does that make sense? So, the what? The computer? I don't know if the computer does. Well, the edge is the computer. Like this side right here and that right there. Yeah, that's a 90 degree. But I could take this, right? I could change the angle, right? If I move the top, see how this angle, I'm not going to, see the angle right in between here and here? Okay, I could change it. Right now it's acute, isn't it? Because it's less than 90. Did we do acute and obtuse?
Yes.
Okay, I can't remember what lesson that was. So that would be an acute angle. If I go completely straight up and down to that side right there, that would be a right angle. If I okay, so if I take it out like this, then what kind of angle does this make? That would be obtuse, obtuse, obtuse. It's bigger than 90. Okay. All right. Enough of that. Let's keep moving. Let's take a look at this one. Now, I don't have one. Do you see the blue triangle right there?
Yes.
Let's use our imagination a little bit, because I don't have anything like to show you physically. I don't have a pyramid. I wish I did. A lot of geometry teachers would have a whole bunch of these shapes and be able to show it to you, but I don't. If I took that thing right there, it's not a pyramid, by the way. If I took that part and I stood it up on end on the blue, Jamarian, I'm up here. If you took this object right there, that colorful object, if you took it and set it up on the blue, it would be sitting on that triangle, wouldn't it? You follow me on that? Just use your imagination. If I took this thing right here and I sat it up so it's actually the blue triangle is sitting on the table right here, okay, then the thing just goes straight up, doesn't it? You see it? Everybody with me? Kaylin, you getting this? Okay. So if I took it, I put it straight up like this, it would go straight up in the air. It doesn't come to a point, does it? If I had it straight up and down. I should have picked a better one of these. But this is called a prism. And I'll write it right here. P-R-I-S-M, prism. All right, that's called a prism. And if I stood it up on end, again, use your imagination. If I stood it up on end on the blue, those sides would go completely straight up, wouldn't they? To the floor, to the base. So that means I would call it a what? A right, right? Because it goes straight up. You see this right here? Right? That would be a right angle. Pretend it's sitting on the blue, and this is like going straight up in the air. All right? So that would be, this is a prism, and this would be a right. Now, what is the base of this prism? You can have all kinds of different bases, but what is this particular base? Remember, the blue one is the base. It's a triangle. That's right. So this would be a what? A right what? What would I call it? Triangular. Right. Triangular prism. All right? So if I give you this picture on a quiz or a test, this is what I would want you to write down. It's a right triangular prism. We good so far? It's not hard. You just have to know what the shape is and what the name of the shape is, okay? And it does take a little studying, all right? Before a quiz or test, either look at your notes, look at the book, look at this this YouTube video, right? Just scroll through it until you see me writing it and say, oh, that is this. And then scroll through it until you see this. Oh, yeah, that's a right hexagonal pyramid. Okay, again, it's a pyramid because it comes to a point. A prism has the same base as it has the top of it, right? The bottom and the top would be the same exact shape. So what would the shape of the top of that thing be? So this is your base right here. That's your base. That's what it's sitting on. But this thing right here, do you see that? See this thing? Right, it's the same thing. Okay? So that would be that would be considered a base as well. Even though it's not really sitting on it, the top and the bottom would both be considered bases. All right? We okay? All right. Now this one's a little different. This, I think, how many do I have? 4. Okay, so these things are called polyhedrons. Okay, polyhedrons. All right, it's kind of crazy. I'm not really going to read the definition, but just look at them. You can see that they're a little bit different. This one right here, like if you sat this, see this little light purple color right there? If you sat it on that, it would look like a pyramid, wouldn't it? All right. but we would call, and you could call it a pyramid. It would. This actually works for both of them. The rest don't work for both of them. The rest you just call certain polyhedrons, all right? But this has, how many sides does this have? Now, there's a part that you can't see because it's three-dimensional, right? I could pick it up, move it around, but this is on two-dimensional surface, so it's kind of hard to see. But I got one surface here. We call these the faces, by the way. Let's write that down. So this thing right here would be called a face of the polyhedron. But they have specific names. I'm going to go through the ones that I have pictured, and then we're going to list a few more that we don't have pictured. So how many faces does this thing have? One? Well, you see three of them, but there is another one that you can't see. It would be on the other side, the back side of it, right? So how many are there? There's four of them, okay? So this has four faces. Now this is the one that's a little bit weird, the name of it. We call this a tetrahedron. Now, every one of these ends with hedron, or hedron, depends on how you pronounce it, right? But this tetra, it basically means four. If you look up a prefix for tetra, sometimes we use the word tetra to mean four. You could also use other words like quad, right? We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Quad means four, but for some reason they use the word tetra and then hedron, all right? So that would be a tetrahedron. Four sides, and it's a hedron, which looks like this. All right. Well, we could also call it a prism. This would be one of those ones where you could go either way. You could call it a right triangular prism or a tetrahedron. All right. Let's look at this one. This one looks kind of crazy, right? It's not just sitting on the base, though, is it? You got the same thing on the top and the bottom. So if I split it in half, the top and the bottom are exactly the same. So what we want to do is find out how many faces does this have. Remember, each one of these just ends in hedron, Hedron. There's 8 faces. Very good. And I think I said it earlier. What's the prefix for 8? Octo, right? Or octa. We use it's octopus, right? If you had that animal in the sea, but we go octa. So there's 8 sides. How do I know there's 8? Well, there's one here. There's one here. There's one on the back over here, and then there's another one on the back right there. You see that? This light blue one. There's 4 faces to it. What about the darker blue one? There's 4 to that as well. It's exactly the same on the top and the bottom. Everybody got that? So there's 8 faces altogether. So we call it a octa. Okay, that's our prefix for 8. Octa. And then what do we end this thing with? No, not polyhedron. We already got the octa. This is specific. Hedron. Okay, I said every one of these ends in hedron. Hedron. I failed to mention this. That word poly. Anybody know what that prefix poly means? No? What is it? Not shapes. It's a prefix that means many. It means many. Okay, you'll see that in a lot of different things, not just in math. You'll see words. I can't think of them off the top of my head. I'm not very good at thinking off the top of my head. But anyway, it's poly means many. So, and the hedron is just how many faces the thing has. That's kind of what it means. So many faces. But here we're being more specific. Instead of just saying many faces, we count how many faces there are. There's 4 of them. Okay, we count how many there are here. There's 8 of them. So we call it a octahedron. Make sense? Poly is just very general. All right, let's do this one right here. Kind of looks like a soccer ball, but it looks like a blocky kind of a soccer ball. It's not round. All right, you've got these sides. Let's see how many sides we have on this. How many sides can we actually see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very good. So there's 6, but are there just 6 faces to this thing? No, because you know you got 6 on the other side that you can't really see. Everybody see that? All right, so you have to use your imagination a little bit. So there's how many faces then? 12 faces. And give me a second. I want to look at something here. Just want to make sure I get the right word, because when you start getting into the ones with a lot of them, I think it's here. Where did I put these? Here. Where did I put it? I've got. No, I don't. Let's see. Oh, maybe I have it under. Nope, it's not under that. Hold on, give me a second. Sorry, should have this ready. Would be under there. Let's see. It's not under there. It would be. Let's try this. Let's try this again. Is it in here? No, it's not there. Give me a second. Sorry about this. So let's try this. Let's try that. Ah, here we go. There we go. So where is that thing? All right, there it is right there. Yeah, dodecahedron. All right. So dodeca. It's one that you don't use very often, but that's what it is. It's dodeca. All right, if there's 12 faces, it's dodecahedron. All right, I just forgot that prefix, but you're going to need to remember it for the quiz. All right. No, this is the right one. Dodecahedron means 12. Yep, the dodeca means 12. Now this one I always forget. But if I was studying for a here, I'll keep that up there. If I was studying for a quiz or a test, I would try to remember it and I would study it. So, how many faces does this thing have? 30? Did you just guess? Let's count. Let's just count the front of it because you know that's the front. The back's going to be the same. Yeah, let's count how many on the front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 that we can see, but there's 10 on the back, so there's 20. So there's 20 faces. Yeah, that's hard to draw. I mean, there's no way I could draw something like that. But just write down, if you have 20 faces, it's called an icasa. It's a weird prefix. Never heard that before until I started, looking at this icasa. I-C-O-S-A. Then what's the end of it? Right. Right. Icosahedron. All right. So icosahedron. I think that's how you say it. I really haven't done much studying on this. I mean, all I know is if you have 20, then it's icosahedron. All right. Now, there are more. There are more. And let's make a list. When are we out of here? 15. All right, we got plenty of time. So, let me find the list. There we go. All right, here's a list. We've already talked about a few of them, so we're going to repeat ourselves. Oh, speaking of repeating ourselves, on that worksheet that you're going to do, there are actually some of those pictures that are the same. All right, like on one page you might have a something. I don't know. I can't remember what it is. Okay, but you might have one shape on the front, a sphere, let's say, and then on the back you might have a sphere again. All right, but just even though it repeats, just write it both times. I had kids in my other class turn it in, and they're like, well, it was the same one on the front and the back, so I didn't answer the one on the back. No, answer them both. Okay, even if 5 of them are exactly the same, write the name for all 5 of them. Everybody got that? All right, so there are some that repeat on that. So it's not, I don't know if they did it to trick you or what. I don't know. I didn't make up that worksheet. So anyway, let's list. Let's list how many sides, and then let's list the name of it. So we did the first one. We said 4. So what do we call? These are all polyhedrons, okay? These are all polyhedrons. So we had 4 of them before. What did we call a 4-sided polyhedron? A 4-faced polyhedron? No?
Sphere.
Look on. Spheres doesn't have any sides. It's round. It's in the notes. Did you write down the notes? It's the first polyhedron that we did. Look at your notes. You guys are scaring me. You didn't write it down? Look at the first one that we did. The first polyhedron that we did today. What? What?
Oh, try. Triangle. Square. Oblique.
You're just throwing words out.
Pyramid.
It's not a sphere. These are all polyhedrons. Polyhedrons. Tetra.
That's what I was trying to say.
It's a tetrahedron. My goodness, we did that like 10 minutes ago, and it should be in your notes. You should just flip at your notes and look at it. It's just showing me that many people in here aren't taking notes. All right, here's another one. All right, this is called what's a five-sided figure? Do you know what a five-sided prefix is?
It is exactly
It's not hexa. It's not a hexagon. We talked about what a hexagon was just a few minutes ago. It's a penta. And they're polyhedron, so it ends in hedron. It's not a pentagon because these are all polyhedrons. Tomorrow we will talk about a pentagon, but that's not what we're talking about today. These are three-dimensional things, okay? It's not just a flat surface. It's not just a flat five-sided shape, right? So it's a pentahedron. We already talked about 6, okay? It's a what? Hexa what? Hedron. All right? So it's a hexahedron. 7's kind of weird. I think they use hepta. Now, some books might use septa. I've seen that before. But this book uses hepta. Hepta what? No, it's not a heptagon. Come on, look at that. Are you just doing that to make me mad? Or come on. Follow the pattern here. Everything ends in hedron. All right? It's not a heptagon. It's a heptahedron. Oh, my word. I might have to pick another job or something. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like I'm getting through. 8. We did 8 before. We saw a picture of 8. What do we call that thing?
Octagon.
It's not an octagon. I think you're doing that just to set me off. So I'll quit responding. 9 it's kind of weird. It's a nonahedron. It's a nona, N-O-N-A. Now, what we're going to talk about tomorrow, we are going to do gons tomorrow. We are going to do things called polygons. 10, I don't think we did 10, but you should know the prefix for 10. What's a deca? Because a decade, right? Decade is 10 years, so it's a decahedron. You really think that's funny? Is it really that funny to laugh out loud like that to something that joke has been run into the ground about 50 times today? I don't know. All right. We talked about this a week. Let's go one class period. That would be nice. All right. What do we call 12? I had to look it up. What was it?
12 is a
It's a dough, deca, and then hedron. All right, then we had one more, and that was the 21. Remember what that was called? Starts with an I. Icasa. Okay, Icasa or Icosa. I'm not sure how people pronounce it, tell you the truth. But I'll say icosahedron. It could be Icosa. I don't know. Tell you the truth. But whatever. Just be able to write it at least. All right. So those are all the ones. I didn't put 11. I didn't put anything in between here. This is the ones they have in the book. So that's a list right there of sides with the names. And those are things that you're going to need to know. All right. On a quiz or on a test. So be ready for that. We are finished 1-7. Tomorrow we're going to backtrack. Shh. Let's listen. So we finished 1-7. We're going to backtrack and do 1-6 tomorrow and Friday, and then we'll be done the chapter. Okay, and then we're going to have a quiz before we take the test on the chapter. So I'm not sure exactly when the test is going to be. My guess, I'm thinking maybe Thursday of next week. Okay, Thursday of next week. All right, and actually we don't have Monday or Tuesday, do we?
Yeah, we all for the night.
So I don't know. We'll figure it out.